Hey audience, hey David. Let me get David here. Just one. Oh, there we go. Hey David. Hey Michael. Hey audience. How is everyone doing? Happy Tuesday. My name is Eduardo. I'm marketing manager here at Modern Sales Pros, and I'm so excited about this event today. We have two of the best minds in the business to talk about how to automate our sales documents. It's basically magic. I was talking with them backstage, and I'm so excited about this content. As I mentioned, I work at Modern Sales Pros, and we are putting this event together for you, audience, today. For those new here, welcome to MSP. We are the world's largest and finest community for more than 35,000 members in sales management, leadership, operations, and enablement. And we are all about taking the road less travel and bringing you along for the journey with us. So we learn a lot. We have a robust online forum where you can go and just ask any questions and also help your community to answering their questions. And with 35,000 people helping you, I am pretty sure no questions will be left unanswered and no problems will be left unsolved in there in the forum. We have our most attend summits twice a year. This year, the next one is in November, November 17th. And we are also doing a lot of in-person events. I have one in New York City next week. There is another one in San Francisco next week, and we're going to Austin, to Atlanta. So we are coming to a city near you. So make sure to check out our calendar, and you can join us in any part of this in the country. If you're not part of the MSP team yet, we will review your details later today. And if you're a good fit to join us, you will receive an invitation to join the community. But that's enough about MSP. Let's focus on how to get the most out of this event. Please use the Q&A panel. I was talking with the speakers and they're like, "Oh my God, I love answering questions." So please use the Q&A, ask a lot of questions. It's not every day that you have two of the brightest minds in the business answering your questions. So please go ahead and use the Q&A. This panel is being recorded and you will be able to access the recording right after the event. The MSP team will make sure that you will receive a YouTube link for this event. And also, there's a surprise here today. So we are doing a raffle. So if you stay until the end of the event, we're going to get your name. And later today, the team at Conga will randomly select three people to win AirPods today. So make sure you stick around and you can get a little gift from us. One last thing from me. We have a poll. I just opened the poll right now. We want to know if you are attending Dreamforce. So audience, please go there. Let us know if you're attending Dreamforce. Where I think it's going to be very exciting this year. Um, for right now, I will pass the mic to David. David, you can introduce yourself and then ask Michael to introduce himself, and then we can just jump right into the content. And audience, go ahead and answer the poll. I'll be listening and taking a lot of notes. David, you can take it from here.
Hello, everyone. David Giller here. Let me just switch the slide for us. David Giller here. I am the founder and CEO of Brainiate. My team and I help companies that are using Salesforce in order to teach them and show them how to use it more efficiently to solve problems within the business. A lot of times it's through some strategic work, but very often it's rolling up our sleeves and actually fixing some problems in Salesforce or introducing some solutions in Salesforce. And I am excited to be here and share with you some powerful best practices that relate to some very common and incredibly painful and costly I'll call them snafus or obstacles that many sales leaders experience when their sales team is trying to close deals and struggling to get those deals out of the door to have the prospect or the client review them and approve them to move them forward. So I'm excited. Michael?
Thanks, David. Michael Smith. I'm a principal sales engineer here at Conga. I'm based in the Washington, D.C. area. I've been with the organization for over 4.5 years now. I've been in the software space for many years, so I've worked with all sorts of products, everything from CRM to ERP to doc generation to everything. So today we'll be focusing on our Composer solution, which is, as David mentioned, is really important to our sales organizations, both internally and externally. And I'll be walking through some demonstrations this afternoon on how you can use it most successfully in your organizations.
Awesome. So let's jump in and start talking about the core problem that so many organizations struggle with. Regardless of the industry that you're in and regardless of the size of your organization, at some point you're talking to, it could be an existing customer or it could be a brand new prospect. And there's some type of document. It could be a release form. It could be a proposal. It could be much later on in the deal when you have an invoice. It could be just really even some type of like sales pitch that you want to get out, but you want to customize it before putting it in the hands of your customer or prospect with information about their organization, their industry, the problems or solutions that or products or services that they are interested in talking to you about. And you have one or multiple templates sitting in various, could be on people's desktops, it could be in a shared folder, it could be, some of it is in Google Drive and some of it is in Box and some is in Dropbox, some of it you don't know, it's sitting on someone's thumb drive, sitting in their pocket or something. And you need to get these documents out, and the time that it takes to copy information that your team should already have in Salesforce and put them into the appropriate template. So even figuring out which template should I be using as the sales rep, let alone where do I find that template? Where do I find the latest version of the template that was approved by marketing and legal and everybody else? Those struggles, if your blood isn't already boiling just from the PTSD of me bringing all of this up, the stress that's associated with it, the time that's lost in it, the number of deals that slip through the cracks is tremendous. It's absolutely tremendous. Talk to any sales rep and they will tell you that one of the multiple snafus that happen within the sales process is simply getting these types of documents out the door. And in the world that we're living in today, it shouldn't be that difficult. Again, if you have even bare bones information about the person that you're sending the document to, about their company, about what products and services that they're interested in, you have bare bones information about that in Salesforce. And you have the template wherever it exists. I don't care if it's on a floppy drive or a thumb drive or wherever it might be, to finally identify which template should I be using in the following scenarios, and just to merge the information instead of copying and pasting, instead of hunting for which document is it, and then copying in from Salesforce and pasting it into Word or PowerPoint or Excel, whatever tool it could be even a PDF, whatever tool you're using. And we've all been there where we copy and paste from something into Word or Excel, and the formatting is all bent out of shape. And like suddenly we're talking, it shows up in an 18-point font, or it shows up in a different color. And we have those problems, and sales reps who are rushing just send the documents out to your customers or prospects. That's embarrassing. It's wasting a lot of time. There are inefficiencies happening all over the place. And this gets to the three core topics, pain points that we have on this slide right here. It's prone to errors. We have lack of consistency. Yeah, sometimes I use this template. When I'm in the mood, I send out that template. Or, accidentally, I sent out this template that's actually outdated and the law changed or our company policy has changed and I realize our logo changed. We shouldn't really be sending out that one anymore. But yeah, sometimes I send out this one because it just happens to be a shortcut on my desktop. Or I just use the one from the most recent deal that I worked on. And in the end, we are missing out on the revenue intelligence to even get an understanding of like, where is our revenue exactly coming from and where are the gaps in, like, why aren't we closing the types of deals that we expect to, or why aren't we closing deals as quickly as we expect to? So the pain is really all over the place. And it does not have to be this way in a world where the concept of mail merging exists. And I'm sorry, pretty much anyone who's used a computer in the last 20 years or so knows of the concept of doing a mail merge. And that's all we're really talking about. But we're talking about bringing the magic of mail merge from Salesforce into the data that you have in Salesforce, into your own templates in whatever format it exists, and introducing these efficiencies and optimizations and impressing your customers and prospects and closing deals faster and more consistently than you ever did before. So with that being said, let's move on to the next topic, just drilling a little bit more into the nuances associated with inconsistent formatting. I hinted at it a little while ago. It could be in terms of branding, your own corporate, which logo is being used. You could have inconsistent formatting in terms of fonts and line breaks and colors, in terms of margins. You could have inconsistent formatting as it relates to outdated information that's in there, or type of language that is simply not appropriate for the industry or the type of customer that you're interacting with. And that can introduce all sorts of problems, as you can see right here. And by the way, if you can't tell, I'm not doing a read along of the slides. You want a copy of the slides? You can get a copy of the slides. I'm breathing life into the slides so that you don't have to read. And if you are reading what's on the slides, it's simply shedding light, giving a little bit more context on the topics that I'm talking about. And by the way, you see over here, the last bullet point, I simply want to call that out. When it comes to inconsistent formatting, integration challenges. We've all seen, just like I described before, when you're doing it manually and you're copying and pasting from any website, it could be Salesforce, it's a web-based tool, or any other website onto a Microsoft Word document, an Excel, or even in the body of an email, an Outlook or Gmail, it really doesn't matter. And the font is all going to be out of whack. And when we are talking about integration challenges, that's just one of many pieces that also correlate to the integration challenges when you're trying to connect two systems together. And let's go a little bit more granular for a minute when we're talking about formatting and doing it consistently. And I don't mean to go super granular right now into Conga Composer, but even as it relates to not font or font color or the whether it's bold formatting of bold or italicized, etc. But Conga Composer can also give you consistent formatting as it relates to, let's say, date or time entries or currency entries that you happen to have in Salesforce. So if, let's say, you want in your document that the, let's say, the dollar amounts or the date or times that are mentioned anywhere should be in a particular format. Let's say currency should be with 2 decimal points, or maybe the exact opposite. You want it rounded up, not to show the cents. It should only show the total of dollars. Or maybe you want the date should be fully written out as a full word, whereas in Salesforce, it's in the native Salesforce formatting. Conga Composer will allow you to customize the type of formatting. It takes essentially the input of the data that exists in Salesforce, and it allows you to control what type of formatting it should be, not only in terms of what font and what font color, and should it be bold or italicized, etc., but also how do you want the date or numerical value formatted in the document itself, in the ways that I described earlier. Those are, you don't really realize it until you're knee-deep into setting up your document, that these are tremendous challenges if they can't be addressed. And this is one of the reasons why I personally absolutely love Conga Composer. And I get very excited every time I work on a project setting up Conga Composer for any of my clients. Anyway, let's move on to the next slide. Errors and inaccuracies. So I can't tell you how many times a sales rep fills out, some type of a document, prepares, let's say, a proposal or a sales pitch for a customer, and they get the spelling of the customer's name wrong, or they get the spelling of the company wrong, and they have incorrect details on there, or they have incorrect details about the pricing for the products or services that the customer or prospect is even interested in. So the errors and inconsistencies can really be all over the place. It's embarrassing, it's time consuming, it's egg on your face for the company. It causes frustration and doubt. You lose confidence with the customer or prospect that you're working with. It causes all sorts of problems, and it's so easy to address them by simply having the data automatically pulled in from wherever the source of data is, whether it is Salesforce or anything else. And Conga Composer can help you pull that into your documentation. Next, I hinted at it earlier, where we have inefficiencies that are introduced in the sales cycle when these problems permeate throughout your organization. The first is document creation, where you have, it's a time-consuming process to manually copy and paste to find which template should I be using for this type of a deal, for this type of a customer, and to copy and paste all of the appropriate details. Some of it might be in Salesforce, some of it might be in other places. Really should be in Salesforce, but that's a whole other topic for a different webinar. And then putting it into your template, and that by itself is very time consuming. And instead of taking seconds, it can easily take days or even, heaven forbid, weeks for your sales rep to get the document out and in the hands of your customers. Inconsistent branding, like I talked about before, anyone who's in a sales, who's in not only a sales leadership position, but anyone who's in an executive position within any organization, you know how upsetting it is when you find out that someone on your team is using an incorrect, an outdated logo or an outdated branding of, let's say, even the product line that we're talking about for the particular customer. It's pretty awful. It's taking your company backwards. Wherever it is, your company is today, it's basically taking it backwards by having the inconsistent branding, where sometimes the customer is getting one type of a logo at the bottom of an email or seeing it on your webpage or in your marketing content, and they get a completely different version of the logo when they get documentation from your own sales team members. So it's an easy fix. And Conga lets you easily set it up so it becomes a complete no-brainer, and it becomes an automated process where it's simply part of your baked-in elements of your templates. Delayed approval, where you, for a sales rep, if I am drafting a proposal that I need to send out, but before I send it out, I need to get it through my own internal team for legal and marketing approval to make sure that the wording is okay, to make sure that the way that we branded it is okay. That is incredibly time consuming. As a business leader, wouldn't it be better to save the money and the efficiencies in the process, save the money with your legal team and your marketing team by not even having them to go through and review any of these materials and creating a cookie cutter approach to make it essentially idiot proof for your sales team to get the documents out with pre-approved templates that your legal team has already blessed, that your marketing team has already blessed. We're now essentially eliminating the need for these approvals on a regular basis. And this way the approvals are left just for those anomaly situations where you need to get those experts involved for a more rare occurrence, I'll call it. And next, we have scalability issues. It's one thing if you're only dealing with 2 to 3 deals per week, but if, heaven forbid, your marketing team does an outstanding job, your sales team does an outstanding job of bringing in more leads, of bringing in more customers who are ready to review and approve these proposals, but it still takes forever just to get these proposals out the door, your operations are not scalable. So even if things are going to go well for you, and you say, oh yeah, my team is managing now, they're copying and pasting from Salesforce into Microsoft Word documents, they're not complaining about it. Oh yeah, what's going to happen if the number of prospects, the number of deals that they're working on doubles because the latest ad campaign that you did actually works? They're going to be drowning. It's going to be even worse for you. They're going to, like, the system is going to cannibalize itself. And this is something that we need to be aware of. And again, it becomes so easy to solve for it with a tool like Conga Composer. And with that, I'm going to hand it over for a demo.
All right, thanks, David. So let's go back to our slides for a minute here and talk about the organization as Conga. So we're seeing our slides here. Here we go. So when we're referring to our Composer solution and document generation, it is the power duo. It is, generating those quotes within your Salesforce environment, and then automatically generating the documents that provide the quote details to our customers. And that's streamlining the sales processes. In general, just because you're doing that, you're also shortening those sales cycles because you're not waiting weeks to build out those decks and increasing your win rates there. When we talk about Conga, let's I'm a principal sales engineer at Conga, as I mentioned before. We are the revenue lifecycle management company, the revenue company. So Composer is just one of those solutions within the organization. So here I've got a slide here, just an overview of our organization and the products that we offer. So it's an end-to-end process from the very beginning, from the configure, price, quote, e-commerce. This doc generation is actually across all of these quadrants here. So you up the right-hand corner, you've got our focus on our chief revenue officers, putting out those quotes, those configurations, getting that business into the organization. Once we have provided those quotes, we need to turn those into contracts. So that's where we have our contract lifecycle management. Again, another suite of products we offer. Being able to manage those contracts, turn those into the orders, billing out of that, and then actually going back and renewing those contracts is all part of the revenue lifecycle management platform that we as Conga offer from a product suite. Today, we're going to be focusing on Composer, as David mentioned. It's basically allows for seamless automation for all of our documents. And we're going to focus on customer-facing documents from a sales perspective, but we can do them from all sorts of documents. So it's a completely seamless interface within Salesforce. So it's very easy to take any object, any record, any group of objects, and create powerful document automation behind that. So not only generate a document, but also maybe updating the records after you generate a document, or posting to Chatter, or posting activities associated with that. So it's really about expediting that process of document automation, and allows us to increase the accuracy of that. So as David mentioned, there's a lot of places where you can bring in the wrong template. You can have different sales reps having different templates. So your brand is kind of watered down. You don't have a unique, or you don't have a very on-brand documents going out from your organization. This is where Composer really helps present that accuracy of your brand, also with the data that's coming out. So you're not copying and pasting data outside of Salesforce into a PowerPoint document or a Word document and converting it into a PDF. Streamlining those workflows is really just a matter of clicking a button. You don't have to basically download a PowerPoint somewhere, copy and paste information. We'll see the demonstration table. We'll click that button. We'll generate a document. It could be a Word document that's turned into a PDF. It could be a PowerPoint presentation turned into a PDF. All of it's going to be branded with your own templates. As David mentioned, it's that concept of mail merge. So it's very easy to start with an existing template you have today that you're using already, and just replacing what you typically would copy and paste with these mail merge tags, which we'll take a look at today. And then you'll notice at the very last bullet, they're executing multiple options for sending, signing, and saving documents. So we integrate with all different types of technologies. So from a sign technology, we do lots of integration with DocuSign, Adobe's, EchoSign. We have our own sign product. You can email these out. We even have email templates where you can merge that data to, and also attach documents. So very easy to generate these documents, send them out, and even attach them back to Salesforce. So with that, let's go ahead and jump over to the demonstration. I'm going to share my screen here. And we're going to take a look at the demonstration for Conga Composer. So what you're seeing here is my demo environment. And from my demo environment, typical Salesforce environment, I'm going to go right to my 123 warehousing and work with this record. So at the very beginning, we're starting with a customer, and a common use case for Composer is getting out NDAs. So on the right-hand side, I've got a Lightning component for document generation for Conga. So these are a collection of documents that typically are going to be generated on an account. We can have those on an opportunity. We can have them on any object within the Salesforce ecosystem. You can also create buttons too. So depending upon the user experience you want to provide your end users, you can have both of these. But the first thing I want to do is I want to basically send out an NDA to be signed so we can start working with this customer. By clicking this button, it's going to take me one click to generate the document, pixel perfect NDA, integrate it to CongaSign. Now in this case, we're using CongaSign because of course we're Conga, but this could go out through a DocuSign or Adobe as well. But it's all happening right before me. I don't have to do anything. You just saw it. It was sent out successfully. You'll notice that it also gets attached directly to the record in the system so I can see the NDA that's being sent out. If I jump over to my other party, we're going to get that NDA here in a second. And I will see that NDA come into my inbox. And that NDA is going to provide me a way to sign that through Conga Sign and then send it back. So now I've got my Conga Sign, my pixel perfect document that came out of Composer, integrated with the sign product. I can navigate through, sign this, complete that signing as we all do with signing products. And then it's being routed to the next individual. So it happens to be me, and now I have that copy as well. You'll see that I get the exact same document that was just shared with Jack. I can scroll down, Jack's been signing it, and now I've signed it. And within a matter of just less than a minute, obviously to speed it up for demonstration purposes, we have gone through clicking a button to sign an NDA, which was generated by Conga Composer, integrated with a sign product, and then sent out for signature. And then lastly, it comes back and automatically gets attached back to our record in Salesforce. And we're updating the record so now we know they have an existing NDA with that. So a great use of Conga Composer using our NDA example. You can also create internal documents. So we have an example here of an account brief. So I want to basically, review this internally with individuals. When I click on that, it gives me options. As David was saying, we can have various types of templates: PowerPoint, Word, Excel, PDF, even email templates. And then I can have it saved, as a file on Salesforce Files. I can download it automatically. I'm going to go ahead and merge and download this. Similar as before, it's going to create this from the records in Salesforce. So this is not only going against the the account information, but it's also going to pull in everything associated with that account. So I can come in here, and now I have a nice pixel perfect PowerPoint that has information I can share internally when I'm doing an account review internally. So I can see my contacts that I have. These are all being pulled right off of the account and related objects. The opportunities are out there, any projects I may have associated with it. And this could be standard objects or custom objects within the Salesforce ecosystem too. Even include charting. So, that's fantastic. We can do that all within the account. Now let's take a look at maybe you're going to send a proposal. Back to David's point, you want to have pixel perfect documents when you're sending out proposals. So same thing, now we have a different collection of documents that we can send out regarding this proposal. I'm going to go ahead and click on my generate proposal here. It's going to present me, again, depending upon how I've got it set up. This could be automated, so all you do is click the button just like the NDA, but I want to be presented with options here. So again, I'm only being presented with one proposal presentation, which is the one we should be using as an organization. So we have that on-brand document going out. What I can do now is I can either email that out, merge and email it, or I can just preview that. For the sake of demonstration, I'm just going to preview it. But again, that can be sent out via email to the individual, my primary contact on my opportunity here. And it's going to be a pixel perfect document. On brand, it's got my branding. It's all personalized for the organization I'm sending this proposal out. Dates, valid. We got some quotes in here that we can use for the proposal as well. We've got the budget for it that we've talked about with the customer, as well as some specifications and use cases and all the products that are part of this proposal, all within this single document. So again, another example from there. Going beyond that, you can also integrate it with other Conga products. So for instance, I'm using our grid here. These are all of my open opportunities that are in my proposal and price quote stage. I want to look at things that are going to be closing in the next 90 days. And I want to be able to send out batch proposals. So Composer also works with our other products. So we can say, okay, I got these 3 opportunities that I'm ready to send out. I can come over here and do a batch send as well. So just like before, I can use that same proposal template, but not have to go to every single record. I can come and actually do a batch on that. And this can be done through the Conga grid here, or it can be done in the background as well. So you have all sorts of options for using Composer throughout your Salesforce platform. The last example I'm going to jump over to is really what we call a global merge. So sometimes you need to pull information across multiple records in the system and aggregate that information in a format. Could be a report. It could be, again, like a quarterly business review. This one's going to basically pull all my opportunities for the quarter from a win and loss rate and present this in a nicely formatted document. Internally at Conga, we use this to build out our QBRs, pull data directly from the system, and automatically generate these. Saves a ton of time when it comes to those quarterly business reviews. Again, going ahead and save that. And now we have a nicely formatted document that I can use in a presentation internally. The other nice thing is that we can also generate very detailed reports that are interactive that can be sent out. So I mentioned before, we've seen a lot of Word examples or PowerPoint, but we can also generate Excel documents. And then the power of all of this is that you're taking advantage of everything that one of those Microsoft products has. So in this example here, I have a very detailed sales activity report that you can see here is interactive as well. So I can come in here, I can see my graphs, I can go to my sales managers tab, even filter out. So everything you're used to using in Excel, we can take advantage of when we generate these documents as well. So incredibly powerful across the board. The key here is that you're having accurate data coming out. The speed at which you get these documents pixel perfect is bar none the best you can get when it comes to the integration of Salesforce. So with that, let's go back to let's stop sharing here. And if I can find my screen here. All right, there we go. Let's go back to our deck here. I think at this point we are at our Q&A. Any questions yet in the side?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Great job, Michael and David. I love the presentation. I hope our audience has learned a lot today. And I see a few questions coming in, but just as a reminder, please put your questions in the chat. We'll be happy to answer them. And if we don't have any time, we will do so after the webinar. And this is just a quick reminder. If you are going to Dreamforce, we have a happy hour event on the Tuesday of Dreamforce. So please feel free to register. The link will be added to the chat. So if you have any questions, please let us know. And we hope to see you there. Okay. So the first question that I see that is pushed through is, what key features should sales teams look for when selecting an automation tool?
David, do you want to take this first stab at that?
Sure. So from the perspective of a sales team member, we want to make sure that it's easy to use, that it's easy. When I say easy to use as the sales rep. In other words, I don't have to jump through a million different hoops to find, because we don't want to perpetuate the same problem that we have today of doing like some Sherlock Holmes work to figure out which template should I be using this time. So we need to make sure that the system allows me as the sales rep to easily identify, or maybe I don't need to identify it at all because the system does it for me, to choose which template I should be using, and then to make it very easy to perform that mail merge function, because again, those are addressing the main pain points for that sales rep. But we also need to think a little bit broader than that, so sort of taking a step back. And when a new template gets created or an existing template needs to get updated, to make sure, even if it's the sales rep who's not doing it, but somebody else, maybe a sales manager, maybe it's the Salesforce admin, to be able to easily I'll call it manage the library of templates, whether that means adding more templates to the library or swapping one version for another version with the least amount of pain, without having to be a developer or a programmer of any kind, to be able to do that, and then to be able to not only generate the documents, but then when sending out the documents, like Michael talked about earlier, to send out the documents in a way where not only we're sending it out, like let's say as an email attachment, etc., but if it requires a signature, to have that embedded with it as well. Because again, we don't want the sales rep to have to jump through so many different hoops just to, okay, what is the next step? The person looked at it. Do they need to now find a printer and print it up and then do some wet ink and then scan it in and send it back to me, stuff it in an envelope and send it back to me? No, we would love to have it digitally signed. So to be able to perform all of those steps while at the same time tracking all of this within Salesforce, having that PDF that was created or the updated Microsoft Word document, the mail merged output saved on the appropriate record in Salesforce, have the appropriate tasks created in Salesforce automatically without anyone, again, having to jump through hoops. So all of this should be done either with one click or with no click at all, meaning as soon as you update the opportunity to put it in a certain stage, or as soon as you populate a certain checkbox somewhere in Salesforce, that should kick off the entire process that I just described. So that's my take on it. A little bit long-winded, but anyway, Michael.
And you covered a lot there. The only thing I would add there is to make sure you're covering also the different formats. So, there's different formats for different purposes. So you may have price lists that you want to send out, or pricing that you want to send out an Excel document along with a Word document that has a executive summary and so forth. So being able to combine multiple types of documents together in a proposal is awesome. Also being able to meet your needs of where you want to save that information. We've been talking about Salesforce, but some folks want to save it to a OneDrive, or they want to save it out to Google Drive. So being able to integrate with other solutions like that is key when you're looking at document generation solutions as well.
Love that. We did receive a question around challenges. So one of the questions that were asked was, what are those common challenges faced when implemented sales document automation?
I think one of them, and David, you might ring in with this too, but one of them is really just, again, managing those templates and making it easy. As David said, you don't have to be a developer to have to do this stuff. So if you know how to do a mail merge, you should be able to do a mail merge as someone in sales or sales ops, and being able to create that within that solution should be easy. It should not be a challenge to get that. It should be a challenge to get to the data. And so all of those are typically challenges you see is getting access to the information, the templates, how easy it is to build those templates, and then also how easy it is to manage those versions are key there. David?
So I promise my response is not meant to be snarky or sarcastic in any way. It's real. I speak the truth. So anytime I've worked on a project where we want to set up templates, whether it's with Conga Composer to actually do the mail merging, to generate the document, or even if it's on a DocuSign project that has nothing to do with Conga Composer, the biggest challenge most of the time is one of two things, sometimes both. The biggest challenge first is, to Michael's point, defining the templates, asking, okay, which template do you want to use? Or plural, which templates do you want to use? And then you start to get answers like, well, Joe has his version of the template and Susan uses hers, but the rest of the team, they use, I don't know what they use. And then it's like, wait, what? How do we move forward? And honestly, it's okay. Like, don't be surprised if you have that problem. That's part of why you need a solution like this, like Conga Composer, to help bring that consistency in terms of the operational processes that you have as an organization. So that absolutely is the number one first obstacle that you can expect to encounter. And it really is not that difficult for a business leader to be able to make the decision, or someone in legal, or someone in marketing, or all of the above, to make that decision of which templates should be approved moving forward. And then the next one that usually comes up relates to the data accuracy. And this has really nothing to do with Salesforce, but if we're talking about relying on the data that's in Salesforce in order to perform the mail merge, then you better believe it. That means that we need to rely on the quality of the data in Salesforce as reliable and accurate and up to date, and no typos, and people's first names should not be in all caps. And we need to make sure that all of it is clean. And honestly, it should be clean anyway, having nothing to do with document generation. And you might say, well, it doesn't pay for us to introduce a tool to perform a mail merge function with Salesforce data because the Salesforce data is bad. And what are you going to do instead? Rely on Excel spreadsheets where the data is just going to be even worse? So I would say lean into it and use this as an opportunity to encourage the team, to make them realize that they need to hold themselves accountable. There are implications by having outdated, inaccurate, half-baked information in Salesforce. And if you simply put it in the first time appropriately, we won't have to scramble or be embarrassed when the data gets merged into our templates moving forward.
Love the candid answer, David. So we have time for 2 more questions, and I want to ask this one around AI because one of the things that impressed me when I was working with David is how avid he was at AI tools and how much he knows around the subject. So one of the questions that we got here was, how do you see the role of AI evolving in the context of automating sales documents?
Michael, you want me to go first? Because I talk a lot, so I'm not looking to hijack anything.
Go for it. Go for it. You love your AI.
Sorry. Okay, so for starters, what I would say is this, and it's funny because even right before jumping on this session, I was meeting with a client, and this topic came up, but as it related to sending out emails to email marketing. And I told the client, the same thing applies here, that even after, let's say even for myself, I spend a lot of time crafting a particular email or maybe an article that I want to send out. And I might think, this is magnificent. This is a piece of art. This encapsulates everything that I meant to include in this piece of content. So again, the same holds true for your sales documents or the documents that you need from an operational perspective, let alone the emails that accompany those documents. And then I put it into AI. I put it into, let's say, a tool like ChatGPT, and I give ChatGPT some context, some background. And I'll say something like, act as a sales leader for this type of business. Below, I want to give you a template, let's say a proposal template that I crafted to be used by my sales team in order to send this proposal or maybe an intro letter, whatever it might be, to our customers or prospects. And you can give whatever additional more context that you want to. Please find ways to optimize it and ensure that it's easy to read and clear to understand and engaging, because I want to make sure that people are not intimidated by this document and that it properly conveys the information that I want to. And a lot of times the AI will essentially rip apart my content that I thought was a piece of work, or I should say a piece of art, and completely trashes it and totally revamps it. And at first I'm like, wait, what? And then I'm realizing, no, you're right. Like, I should have included those. I was way too wordy in those paragraphs. And I find that it's incredibly helpful to sort of take a fresh perspective. And I'm not at all saying that the AI is always correct. I am not saying that whatsoever. You treat the AI as if it is, think of it as a well-intended 19-year-old boy who thinks they know far more than they actually do, but they are well-intended, lots of enthusiasm, so there might be tremendous gems of wisdom or creativity or insights that you wouldn't have thought of before, but do not take every word that the AI gives you. Anyway, so that's how I use AI to review and refresh content, any type of content that I am working on. And again, this includes sales letters. It includes emails to accompany sales letters or proposals. And I find that practically every single time I do that, I completely revamp, again, just using the ideas, the inspiration that the AI is giving me to take it to the next level. All of the type of content that that I do, even for my own business, let alone for projects that I'm working on with clients. Because a lot of times you might realize that, you know what, it probably makes sense to have like a frequently asked questions type of a thing, or a section that describes certain terms, certain like industry-based or company-based terminology that you're sort of taking for granted within the document, but it's not that obvious to the customer or prospect what you even mean by that. Anyway, that's how I would do it in a nutshell. I could talk on this topic, by the way, endlessly. So
I know, and I love it. Michael?
I mean, the AI piece is, it's, what are you trying to say? It's kind of going what David said. I'm not as wordy as David, but I use the same technology to go out there. And if I need to find better phrasing for something when I'm putting together a presentation or trying to look for more powerful words, I'll have Chat GPT or Copilot come up with a better way of using that and then injecting that into the document. So, and as part of Composer, you can bring that information into Salesforce and then have it do all the work for you. So just bring the content in and let Composer do all the crafting for you.
Great. One last question. We've got some questions around examples of seamless integration between sales documents, automation tools, and CRM, which I think you showed in your demo, so I'm not going to ask that one. And level of customization, I think we talked that through the demo, but the last question is more around the emerging trends. What emerging trends should sales professionals be aware of in the realm of sales document automation world?
You want me to go first again?
Sure. I'll be thinking on that one a minute here.
I think in the end, it really comes down to what we touched on earlier, which is AI. I think that everyone is, I'll phrase it a slightly different way. I think that many companies, not so much individuals, I realize not everybody is an AI geek the way I am, but many companies are taking one of two extremes. Either AI, no, unfamiliar technology, scary stuff, stay away from it until we can figure out what we want to do with it. And other companies are taking the exact opposite extreme of leaning in heavily and trying to incorporate, and some fall on their face when they do it, but others are really doing an outstanding job of incorporating AI deeply into their tools, like Zoom, for example, or Google, for example, where a lot of times we're like, what the hell do I need AI in my Google Drive for? And then you realize like, oh wait, it can do what? That's really cool. And so I think as it relates to that, when companies are doing it, the individuals who are either customers or employees of those companies are getting exposed to it. And I think that we are absolutely going to see more and more of a trend. I have immersed myself in it for sure, of AI seeping into all processes across all industries, all technologies, really everywhere. And I think we have barely scratched the surface in terms of how it can really change, I'll use the word society. I think AI is really going to change and is already changing life as we know it, the same way that refrigeration or the introduction of the motor vehicle changed society, like in ways that like nobody ever imagined. And I'm not saying it to be dramatic. I sincerely think that it allows anyone to tap into creativity and sort of learn the best practices of anything. It just takes their imagination. So as it relates to sales and sales processes, I think that more and more AI is going to start to get infused into the sales processes. And that might even mean that one day, not putting pressure at anyone at Conga, but that might mean that one day a document would get magically generated with AI by automatically including the appropriate clauses, the appropriate terminology, the appropriate products and services, the appropriate language and tone based on the company's definition of what the company does and what the core driving principles are for the company, as well as the type of customer or prospect that we're interacting with, where it could potentially be far more than just mail merging. It's actually creating it from scratch, leveraging a library of, let's say, templates or template styles of clauses, not even documents, but it could be policies as well as clauses and guiding principles where the AI can put together not only the document itself, but also this appropriate series of I'll call it pre-proposal communication, as well as what are the follow-up tasks that the sales rep should be doing. Should it be a phone call? Should it be 3 phone calls? Should it be an email? How about drafting those emails? Should it be an in-person meeting? Should it be a demo? So in theory, the AI could really be helping to support the sales rep really as a co-pilot. I'm not trying to hijack the terminology of co-pilot from the multiple companies that are using it as it relates to AI, but really as an assistant to help guide them through the sales process based on whatever information was fed into the AI's knowledge bank. And I think that's pretty damn cool. Sorry, I'm a geek. I find it really exciting.
No, I think it's wonderful. And one of the things that impressed me the most is how quickly it is changing, right? I thought that this was things that would happen 5 years from now, but it's an everyday thing. And next month is not going to look like what it looks like today. So that's just very, very impressive to me. Michael,
and by the way,
sorry,
give an example. You who are familiar with a tool like Canva, which is like a graphics manipulation tool, and Canva about a year or two ago started to introduce AI, and they're constantly updating their AI and the features that it has. And a lot of times my response to it is similar to what I mentioned before, like, why the heck would I even need that? And then you realize, like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like, of course I need that. And this is where it's like these eye-opening moments of really opening up opportunities for doing things that we never thought were possible because of the AI.
I agree. Michael, any final thoughts?
Well, being an employee at Conga and knowing where our roadmap is going, we're injecting AI into everything. And Composer is only one of those solutions where, back to David was talking about, how can AI help that? It may be back into which proposals have we generated that actually have led to the winning deals, the largest winning deals, and then seeing what content was in there, and then recommending that for future proposals. So Conga's on the AI train, and we are injecting it across all of our products. From the CPQ to contracts to renewals to everything else. So it'll be in Composer at some point in the future.
Well, that concludes our webinar. Michael and David, I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for presenting. This was very insightful. I hopefully our audience got a lot out of it. And after this call today, we will announce who are the 3 winners of the AirPods. But if you have any questions or want to request a demo, we'll make sure to send our details. And please feel free to contact us. Eduardo?
Awesome. David, Michael, and Karina, thank you so much for all the information. Audience, thank you so much for participating today. If you stay until the end, we recorded your name and the winners of the AirPods were selected later today. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Jenna. You're the best part of MSP always. Audience, I'll see you next time. And speakers, we can go hang out backstage while the team and Modern Sales Pros make sure that the audience will receive the recording for this, all the key takeaways, all the resources shared into the chat, and also the winners of the AirPods. So thank you all so much for joining me here today. Speakers, we can go backstage and hang out there a little bit. Bye-bye.